So the Silent Hill 2 remake has come and gone, and before I talk about what definitely, probably, and hopefully comes next for the series, I need to talk about that remake just a little bit.
Good and scary!
Holy hole. I mean, look, here's the thing. There are two kinds of remakes, right? The one-to-one, totally faithful remakes like the Crash and Spyro trilogies, and reimaginings like Final Fantasy VII. If you asked me what I would want from a Silent Hill 2 remake, I would have chosen the former, a one-to-one remake, and I guarantee most of the obnoxious old-school fans like me would also. And I honestly expected that because every trailer and transmission, they kept using terms like faithfully remade. The biggest difference I really expected was the over-the-shoulder perspective. I was expecting like 90% remake, 10% reimagining, but it's more like 60-40. And it's not like they reimagined it by taking it in a completely different direction. It's more like they took a lot of the ingredients of the original, but just made new recipes with them. And they also said that they were able to implement a lot of unused content they couldn't do the first time in the original, so maybe some of that is what that is. Either way, I friggin' loved it. They captured the atmosphere, the story's the same and actually feels a little bit less cryptic, and it's both super fun and scary to play. A lot of these changes, if like I pretend the originals never existed or if I never played them and I just judge this game on its own merits, then yeah, it's mostly great. So it would be way quicker to discuss what I don't like about it. Okay, it's significantly more combat heavy, like lots of scripted enemy encounters. And I actually really enjoy it, but it's just a different experience and it takes the focus from fearing the atmosphere to a more visceral fear of the intense action, although the boss fights were fucking incredible. Dungeon designs are probably the biggest difference. The apartments, hospital, prison, labyrinth, and hotel are basically completely new levels. Again, it feels like they took all the ingredients from the originals and made new recipes. They're all great and in some ways objectively better, but again, it's just a totally different experience. One major way is in the puzzles. Some are the same, some are brand new, some are completely gone, and some have been altered. I'm okay with most of these changes, but this leads to one change I cannot tolerate: the writing. This was the biggest sin to me. Some of the writing changed for the puzzles, which I still don't like, but I understand, but a lot of the story-based memos were changed for no reason. You changed Owaku-san's writing. You can still go to the bowling alley, see the pizza, and James will say the famous line, but the scene itself with Eddie has been altered and moved to a new theater level. Maria's outfit is toned down, that's just lame. Speaking of which, all cutscenes and voice work is better except for Mary/Maria. The labyrinth scene was particularly badly delivered, and honestly, nothing can compare to the ending letter read from the original. I didn't really expect it to top it. I like the new actress's voice more, but the original's performance is legend. After the hospital, in the original you could explore the entire town in its darkness phase. You had a few destinations and objectives ending in the historical society, but the whole town was basically open and you could just go around exploring it again and collecting supplies. They changed this section to be much more linear. Now, as I said before, I wanted a one-to-one remake, but after this, I ultimately realized that if it was gonna be remade, it might as well be a reimagining like this, so masterful that it stands alongside the original instead of replacing it. Because for one thing, we get to enjoy both, but also because the originals do not need a remake, they just need remasters. Think about it. If we old fans think the old games are so perfect and are so concerned with preserving them, why even bother with one-to-one remakes when a remaster is as one-to-one as you can get and would be perfectly fine? The first game on PS1 is another story, but the PS2 games have aged very well, especially graphically, and it's way cheaper to remaster a game than to remake it. So that finally brings me to the main point of this video. What's next for Silent Hill? A movie based on Silent Hill 2 made by the guy who made the first movie.
So good that it's scary.
A new game game written by the guy who made the horror anime Higurashi.
Looking so scary, you forget that it doesn't look good.
And then some kind of spin-off.
I don't get it.
But I think the best thing we can hope for is that the remake sells well enough to push Konami to revitalize the series and make the following restless dreams come true. Remakes of Silent Hill 1 and 3. If they're as high quality as the one we just got, I am so down. I don't think they'd go as far as doing 4 also, but I'd be down for that too. And the ultimate gift Konami could give us is what I already hinted at, a remastered compilation of the first 4 games. Not just for PS5, but also for Switch too. And I don't think the remake lowers the chance, because they did the Metal Gear compilation that includes Snake Eater, which is also getting its very own remake. No, that's not the problem with this. The problem with this is that the PS3 era featured lots of remaster compilations for PS2 series, and when Silent Hill's turn finally came around, Konami totally shit the bed on this one. For one thing, it only included 2 and 3. Where the hell was 1 and 4? But the worst part is one of the biggest reasons Konami earned its bad reputation. They never properly archived the source codes for the final builds of 2 and 3. Let me repeat that. Somehow, one of the biggest game companies in the world didn't secure the final print for 2 of their most revered and successful masterpieces that just happen to be my 2 favorite games of all time. So they gave incomplete source code to the team working on the remaster, who had to fill in the blanks. And as a result, the games were glitchy, the fog wasn't dense, fucking Comic Sans, and they had to redo the voice work with different actors. So even if Konami does do a remaster compilation, there's no certainty if they'll include 1 and 4, or if they'll use the true original versions of 2 and 3. All we can do is hope so. There are HD ROMs of 2 and 3 that you can just emulate. So hopefully they just do what these fans seem to be able to do and just rip the game from an old copy, upscale it, and put it on the disc as a simple port. This is all us Silent Hill OGs want. And I can definitely understand and sympathize with my fellow OGs who just want the series to RIP, but at the same time, the remake was awesome, and I'm really stoked my favorite series is back and relevant and actually good again. But what about you? Have you played the remake and are now super into Silent Hill? Hit the like button, sub to the channel, and let me know in the comments all about your newfound love for my favorite game ever.